So there's only so many games that I expect the Indiana Fever to actually win without Caitlin Clark. These are the effects of losing a generational player due to various injuries. However, when you get up by 10 points, it seems like the Indiana Fever, whether with or without Caitlin Clark, actually this year, have found a way to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. 9 minutes left in the game, 60-50, and an outright collapse. And it just felt like they couldn't pass Aaliyah Boston the ball. It felt like they could not get a rebound. It felt like Azare Stevens turned into Joel Embiid, apparently. The small lineup, which features so many of the best available players for the Indiana Fever, lended itself to getting out rebounded that way. When you look at the other option, which ended up happening, they brought in Natasha Howard, you lose something there too. And in reality, the player that would have helped in that situation, somebody that could play alongside a small lineup, someone that could be used for their size, would be DeWanna Bonner, who unfortunately is no longer with the Indiana Fever because of the situation that went down these past few weeks. So this right here is just what you're left with when you sideline Caitlin Clark. You have a hole in the lineup at the top with the bigs, and you refuse to play any of your younger players, and you walk the ball up in the second half, slow it down, and we don't really see the traits of what Caitlin Clark is with the team, and then what the team is without her. You would think this would be a running up-tempo offense, but when you don't have her, there's a disconnect. The way this team is guarded without her on the floor makes this such a difficult kind of road forward for this team. As of this recording, we do not have any further information about the groin injury, which was said to be day-to-day. Now, how far that goes with you is up to your interpretation. I'm going to wait for more, but when I hear a day-to-day groin injury, something kind of seems funny to me. There are a number of big games coming up. The schedule is doing that thing where there are back-to-back games. You add in the Commissioner's Cup. I think some precaution is being taken with Caitlin. In my eyes, she should just sit it out until she's ready to go. But man, I did not enjoy watching that game last night. It was tough to get through. I watched the first half super intently, and they were up 34-30, and it seemed like, okay, they might be able to get it going. The Sparks really don't have, too many dangerous threats, and then Kelsey Plum just turned it on in the second half. A number of big three-pointers. She shook Kelsey Mitchell one good time, which basically turned the game around, where she gave it this hard jab step. Kelsey went flying, Mitchell that is, and Plum hit that big three, and the game kind of switched from there. And then, as I said, it was the Azare Stevens takeover, which they could do nothing about. There was an interesting foul that got called, and two of them that happened the same play, one of them much worse, where Aaliyah Boston was posting up, and they called her for, an offensive foul, and that one wasn't that bad. The second one that they called ended up going against the Sparks, but that one, Aaliyah Boston cleared her out like she gave her the Heisman. Essentially, it was really quite fascinating to see the way that I would interpret the fouls, watching the game, and then what the referee would see them as. Because if anything, I feel like those calls should have been reversed. But we're talking about WNBA referees here. Stephanie White is not impressing people. I'm seeing the reception around her and a lot of the commentary that I'm reading online. Everyone's tired of her. They're ready for her to go. They're ready for her to get out of here. I maintain that there are definitely questions that need to be asked of her, and she definitely needs to come to the table with a lot better answers than we. I'd like to start hearing, some of the stuff she's responsible for. I'd like to hear about how she plans to maximize Caitlin Clark rather than make her fit into a box, personally. I'd like to know how she plans to get Kelsey Mitchell the ball, because Kelsey Mitchell, I thought, was one of the only reasons this team had some juice tonight, despite, her missing, some key layups and things of that nature. The last two games for Kelsey Mitchell have been encouraging as far as like breaking out of like this structure, which is, I think, death for this team. It's coming down to the point where it feels like Caitlin's gonna have to make a boss call, like she did last year when she returns, and basically say, "Hey, we're the ones out on the floor. We're gonna run. We're gonna do our thing." I think you saw the difference between Aaliyah Boston playing with Caitlin and playing without her tonight. As I had talked to some people and saw some people in the arguments. They're doing the old Pau Gasol Kobe Bryant thing. So they're basically saying, "Yo, this is the real MVP," and it's not necessarily trying to big up Aaliyah Boston. It's more just a slight on Caitlin Clark, and they know what they're doing, but they're just trying to get off their little hee-hees. But I believe Aaliyah shot only 30% tonight. She had a low double-double, like 12 points, 10 boards, something like that. I'll take a look at the box score in a second. But they could barely pass her the ball. And she's basically the Fever's best creator at the moment. And from there, it's like, who are you going to rely on? Sid Colson? I think I'll get a ball to Aaliyah. But when you can't do that, you're just stuck. This team is stuck, and this sounds crazy to say about a team that still has two all-star players available, but they're coming up on a time where a lot of these teams are coming together and getting better, and I can't honestly say the Indiana Fever are getting better right now. It just seems like they're staying the same or, slightly getting worse. I don't think Stephanie White's press conferences are necessarily encouraging. I do remain optimistic about Caitlin Clark coming back and having a big effect on this team. I think she's a phenomenal player, and she has that type of effect. She has that type of gravity that just makes defending her such a challenge that people are just going to benefit naturally by her presence just being out there. And when you take that away, and I maintain if Caitlin Clark is as great as so many of us maintain that she is, there will be a difference without her. So, these losses aren't necessarily surprising. I would say they're disappointing because blowing leads and then walking the ball up in the fourth quarter the whole time and not having a clue what to do with the lead, that's a part of coaching. So I would just say you can't blow 10-point leads. And blowing leads this year has become all too common. So anyway, what did you think about this game with the Sparks and the Fever? There's another game this evening against the Wings. As of this recording, we have no word if Caitlin Clark is going to play. But let me know. What did you guys think of this game? And I'll holler at you guys. Join the memberships, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll holler at y'all next time. Peace. This is One Lifetime.